Hey, shoto mate. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm doing another album review. Yeah, I'm doing another album review on an album that's released this year, a really great album, in fact, and that is, my friends, Otoboke Beaver with Itekoma Hits. So, I feel like I don't review enough Asian stuffs, uh, Asian TV shows, movies, music. I've actually never reviewed an Asian movie before, so I gotta do that. And the band that I'm talking about today is a four female hardcore punk rock band in Japan who had been making music for like almost a decade now, but it is just recently when they released something that resembles a studio album, including 6 new songs and re-recording of some of their old songs and also some leftover songs from their previous singles and EPs. And then together they form 14 tracks in a total of 26 minutes. 26 minutes of really crazy, noisy, wild blasts of hardcore punk music. What I really love about the album is its very catchy and memorable hooks. I really enjoyed, but also even more impressed by these super tight and intense guitar riffs and drums that are so noisy, so intense. It's like on almost on a death metal level. It's just so crazy, so insane. But what really makes the album special is the vocals, because not only is there one singer on the album, all 4 of the band members also sing on the album. Actually, they sing like sometimes, mostly they just shout and scream and shout and scream, but every time they shout and scream, they have a lot of attitude, but also a lot of humor as well. I also love how animated the shouts and the screams are. They almost sound like cheering chants. I'm not Japanese, so I am not super familiar with the lyrics on the album, but lyrically speaking, the album deals mostly with, love, sex, working, eating, drinking. The album starts off really strongly with datsu, hikage no onna. I'm sorry if I mispronounce anything, but it's just a really exciting and energetic opener that's really blood pumping. We get these ascending and descending scratchy guitars, these vocals that are just layered and on top of one another, cascading off of one another, and all of the band members, they sound like they're singing and shouting so passionately and so seriously that they're running out of breath when they're recording the song I Hate You, Hate Me. But actually this track is not the most heavy track. But actually this track is not the heaviest track on the album. There are a few more tracks that are even heavier and more explosive, like the second track, Akimahenka. The growly gang vocals are absolutely energetic and just super exciting and explosive. And then every time they shout Akimahenka, we get these grindy guitars just climbing up very maniacally, and then we get the ramblings. And it's just so wild, so deranged, so whack, something that I completely did not expect from a Japanese rock album. It's like they have listened to a lot of hardcore punk rock from the UK and from the USA, and they sort of turned it to something more Japanese sounding, and with their own spin on it. And it sounds absolutely insane. And then up next we have the track vous, plait, and it's one of the lighter tracks on the album. Still, I love it a lot. At first we get some really nice feel-good guitar jam riffs, which then breaks down into these slick, twangy fun guitar leads that are very sticky and memorable. And then on the next track, it's Bakuro, which has a really cyclically repetitive start, which I think is very memorable and sticky actually. Bakuro Bakuro. And then at the chorus of the track, it gets super smooth, super sweet and melodic, and it sounds absolutely satisfying. And then up next we have the track What Do You Mean You Have Talked to Me at This Late Date? Yeah, that's the title of the track. And at first we get some really chopped up and angry beginning, and you can already tell that it's gonna build up to some super angry and aggressive climactic explosion. And it did. We get some super noisy guitars and bass just going frenzy in the back, and they're just and the girls, they're just shouting on the top. And there's a part on the track where one of them just says, "Time is money," and everyone just screams and shouts on top. It's absolutely crazy. And at the end, it's almost like they're rapping, because they're just shouting, and it's already so noisy. It's like they sound like as if there are 4 Denzel Currys rapping on a super hard trap rap beat, except that trap rap beat is replaced by these super abrasive and rough, wild, deranged guitars and bass. And then up next we have the track Introduce Me to Your Family, which I'm not a huge fan of, because in the beginning we get some super speedy, raw shouts, which sounds a little awkward. I don't like it when a punk rock album sound awkward, but actually there's a humor behind it, so I kind of get it. However, what really comes after the speedy shouts in the beginning is fantastic. The instrumentals, they're kind of strange, but and they're kind of multifaceted, but they are actually really memorable, and they grew on me a lot. I love the jumpy, skippy guitars and these little quiet pop rock lows that always ends up in a very abrasive, noisy highs, and yeah, really fantastic track as well. Up next, it's Love Is Short, which is a very intense and solid track. Again, the very angry and shouty cheerleading chants are absolutely fantastic and fun, and again has a humorous edge to it while being very animated. And the chorus, it's absolutely thrilling actually. They just sing together collectively, ooh 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 ooh. The next track is Bad Luck, which is my least favorite track, most definitely, on the album. The beginning it sounds kind of weird because it's repetitive and not in a way where it's fun and shouty and angry, but more in an awkward, drawn out way. And then after that we get some super dragged vocals, which are a little dragged too long, so it sounds a little awkward again. And then at the second half of the track, it just breaks down into this weird, awkward guitar waltz. I appreciate what this band is doing, and I think it's a real creative and weird way to end off the track, but it's just not really my cup of tea, and I feel like it's a little too lenient on the awkward side. But still, the rest of the album are incredibly solid. We have the track Don't Light My Fire, which is, I think, the most intense and insane and animalistic track on the album. Not only do we get these very angry and aggressive cheerleading vocals that are just responding to one another, and then it just explodes into this absolute insanity. It's crazy. The guitars are twangy and off the rails. And then we have the track 6-Day Working Week is a Pain. And, judging by the title, you can already tell what the song is about. And at first, we get some groovy post-punk-esque guitar riffs, with them repeating one line over and over again, and it actually sounds kind of good. And the track also kind of ends in the same way, except with a different flow, which is something that I really appreciate, that they can pull off something a little quiet, yet still sounding really punk. And in the middle of the track, It's also kind of multifaceted. We get some weird, noisy, heavy, psychedelic rock passages, which actually sound pretty amazing. And overall, it's another really satisfying track to listen to. The next track is Binge Eating, Binge Drinking Bulimia. I guess it's a drink. And this track is an absolute insane 1 minute and something second long blast. I don't think it's as aggressive as Don't Light My Fire, but damn, there are just so many layers of sounds on top of one another, just going crazy all at once. And while it's not bad, I also don't know what to say. Yeah. And then up next, it's I'm Tired of Your Repeating Story, where they go, kita, 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 kita. And we get some really wild and deserty guitar riffs, which complement well with the very off-the-hook vocals and shouts and screams. Then the second last track is Anata, watashi, daita, yome no meshi. Thank you. And boy, it's another crazy hardcore banger. We get some really driving blast beats underneath the song, and then in the middle of the song, it just goes really quiet all of a sudden, and we get these bits of hi-hat sort of building up to a really, really climactic explosion where they just keep on repeating the song title over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's crazy. But the last track on the album is actually Ikezu, and it means mean in Japanese, and it's 18 seconds long. And it's, you know, when you are a hardcore punk rock band who had already been making a lot of loud and aggressive and noisy and crazy songs, and you have 18 seconds left, you would just go to the fullest. So yeah, that's how I would describe this track. Overall, I am really impressed with the album. I'm also extremely surprised that something as noisy and as crazy like this would come out of Japan, but also not that surprised because this album does have a really strong Japanese vibe. The really animated, bright, and cartoony, hardcore punk, wacky, zany side of Japan. You know, I can see it, and I really enjoy this album. Yeah, and I really like how they would wear the influences on their sleeves. A little bit of Dead Kennedys, maybe. They sound like Nails too, if they are cartoony and funny, and a little more melodic, and also maybe just maybe a little bit of Rage Against the Machine. But I may be wrong. Maybe the band had never heard these bands before, but maybe they have. Actually, high chances are they have, and I'm really glad about that. And again, I don't want to throw shade on Korea, but clearly I'm more interested in the Japanese culture side of things than Korea, because the way Japan handles its own culture, the way it preserves its own culture while not completely shutting off itself, is amazing, while the South Korean culture really just gets westernized really quickly without any much originality. But still, there are some really great Korean albums out there. But still, my favorite track here is Love Is Short, I guess. I don't know. And well, actually, Don't Light My Fire is a great contender. Datsu Hikage no Onna is a really great contender. And my least favorite is Bad Luck. I am giving Otoboke Beaver with Itekoma hits a 9 out of 10. You know, listening to this album just makes me want to tell them Choto mate, because they're just going too fast. So what are your thoughts on these on this album from 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like if you like it, hate if you hate it, subscribe if you want more. Thanks for watching.